Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. My name is Anna, founder of Startup Dials, where we're helping consumer tech brands and startups with their go-to-market strategy for the North American market, from pre-orders to commercial launch and to big box retail. And speaking of retail, today I have a very special guest with me who's seen it all when it comes to retail. Johan Jacob, the founder of Retail Bound. Welcome, Johan.
Thanks, Anna. Thanks for having me on your LinkedIn Live event.
Yeah. So, Johan, you are a former retail buyer yourself, right?
That's correct.
And you've been helping brands break into US retail since 2008.
Back when I had more hair. That's correct.
Yeah. So when I thought about this topic, right? If retail at CES, you were obviously my number one go-to person for everything related to CES. So for me, there's no better person really to get sound advice and from someone who has this hands-on experience in your team, of course, right?
Thanks, Anna.
So, well, CES is just around the corner.
Yep.
And I mean, just looking back at some of the numbers, last year we had 1,400 of startups at Eureka. We had 4,500 of startups on the main floor. And from my experience working with brands at CES, you're looking at minimum of like 50,000 investment to exhibit, like minimum, like right on the conservative side.
About 5,500 exhibitors. It's almost the pre-pandemic levels in 2021 and 2022 when CES got back. It was definitely a lot lower. But yeah, now we're past, thank God, COVID. So more exhibitors are at the show as well as more attendees as well.
Yeah, very exciting. So obviously those, right, the founders who are decided to, well, invest and attend the show, they want to get their, well, essentially their money back, right? And understand how to pay off, right, for this trip. So they go back, they collect the business cards. During the show, they have those conversations with retailers. They meet Target, Walmart. They get excited.
Yep.
They go back home, and oftentimes it kind of slows down. I mean, the distance doesn't help.
Correct.
So let's talk a little bit about like these retailers at CES. Who actually are these people, right? Who are we talking about, right? Because some of them are buyers, others would be like innovation scouts and category managers. Should the brands that talk to retailers treat those people the same, or are there like strategic differences?
No, not really. I think, from my perspective, you have different audience members. You have, retail buyers, you have the innovation team, you have private label, like Best Buy. They have a different team that does their private label brand. You might have VPs and DMMs and other senior people. One year I met the former Best Buy CEO. Right? He happened to walk the floor. You can't miss him. He's very tall, 6'4", 6'5", and he happened to stop by one of our clients, and we were like, "Wow, Best Buy!" Right? So I would say that you treat everyone equally the same. And I know that a lot of our clients will look at the badges. Oh, Best Buy, right? Or Walmart, Target. Every retail buyer should treat the same because regardless of what retail they are, for you as an exhibitor, they're all important to you, by the way.
Yeah, and many, of course, they, and speaking from experience, right? We're exhibiting at CES myself, working with brands that are exhibiting. Many just rely on, retailers to stop by their booth, and many do. But at the same time, do you think it's worthwhile to actually try and schedule those meetings in advance?
If you can. So as a large buyer myself, every year I had a different agenda. Sometimes I would go to CES to see my existing brands like a Sony or a Samsung. Others would be trying to find new products. Maybe it was an initiative from my senior management. Hey, we want to get into X, Y, and Z. So we'll go try to find brands that fit X, Y, and Z. So it depends on my agenda. But I think for brands that are going to exhibit for the first time, it's important to have a plan of attack and how to get buyers to your booth, and how to, as you said earlier, how to follow through after the show is done, by the way.
Yeah. And that's actually a good point. Like, what makes the retailer or the buyer actually stop, right? Is like you mentioned that maybe they're scouting for a specific product category, but is it actually also like the display or, I don't know, a person at the booth or?
There's a couple of different things. One is I think you're generally speaking, your booth got to be eye catching, right? Sometimes you and I both walked CES and it's like it was like very drab, dimly lit. So having a very engaging booth display where that's the booth brand and graphics, but also your clothing. You and I are both wearing our company logo, right? Two, make sure you have enough people to staff the booth. Many times I see one person by himself or herself and who's stressed out or looking bored, right? So make sure enough people staff at the booth. Again, and finally, demonstrations. If you get out to, I like that better than having those Shosky like raffle or spin the wheel. Like, okay, forget that.
Yeah.
Buyers have a lot of time. They want to see a demonstration of their product and then move on to the next booth. So I think, have enough staff, having enough good design, and then more important, having a demonstration to lure buyers in, a great way to get some people to stop by.
Yeah. Well, yeah, something that catches the eye, right? And it attracts the crowd. I feel like whenever there is a crowd, there is a higher chance that, right, you would also want to stop by and see what's the buzz all about.
And that's why I have enough people, right? We have one client who's visiting for the first time, and he's going by himself, like timeout. You need more people because no matter how enthusiastic you are, by 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, your energy is low, and by the fourth day of the show, you're ready to go home, right? So having enough people in the booth keeps you fresh, keeps you hungry, and where it's the first person in your booth or the last person in your booth, the same excitement level persists. By the way.
Yeah, good point. When we were preparing, preparing for this live with you, one thing you mentioned that stuck with me is you said not every brand is retail ready. And I was like, oh, that's a good one. Like, what does it actually mean being retail ready?
Could be a lot of things, honestly, being able to ship, right? A lot of brands will show a prototype, especially at Eureka Park, but they're not ready to ship a product till next season, right? Or it could be pricing, right? They don't understand their pricing model compared to other competitors. Packaging, not just retail packaging, but how the product is shipped to the retailer in case bags, inner case bags, and a host of other different things. But many times we see brands, when we pull back the curtain, like, no, you're not ready yet to talk to a Best Buy or Target. Let's spend a few weeks in checking the boxes before we not waste your time, but spend your time in talking to the right buyer down the road.
Yeah. So it's a little bit, well, yeah, exactly. It's a little bit for brands down the road, right? Especially if, many use CES for, launching a new product. So yeah, but anything specific that needs to be prepared for the show itself, right?
I would say, I always tell clients, one, a working sample helps. Prototypes are okay, but if a working sample that can be used. Remember, now at CES, you get a lot of Wi-Fi constraints as well as Bluetooth constraints. I've been doing this for a long time, and many times we've had issues where now the Wi-Fi doesn't work, so the product's not working, or the Bluetooth and pairing the product doesn't work. So make sure you have a consistent plan if your product is Bluetooth enabled or Wi-Fi enabled. That's the first thing. Two, make sure you have collateral. Not a lot because we're still in a paper society, but there are people like me who may run to the booth. Oh, you're busy. You need to grab a flyer, write in the booth number, and come back later on. Others say, nope, have a QR code. Let me scan it. And that way I can travel, paper free. But having as well as having business cards or a way they can contact you after the show. A lot of times I'll just grab a card, put it in my briefcase, and off I go. But those are the things: is having a sample, have some collateral or a QR code, so they need to get some information. They can move on to the next appointment.
Yeah, good points. Actually, for Wi-Fi, we always used to buy separate Wi-Fi and not rely on the CES local network that they provide.
Yep, correct.
You mentioned that you want to have enough staff at your booth, right? Enough team members because the energy is low, running low, but also sometimes you attend meeting outside of the booth, and while having a team, obviously you want to have them all at the same page, and I like to prepare like a standard Q&A, so to make sure that everybody's on the same page and answers well, has like standard answers, right? What are some of the questions that they should prepare for when it comes to retail? I would expect like pricing is one of them. Like pricing and timeline is also always
great point. And I'm a big believer of it's all seen from the same hymn book. Because if I come and see you, in the morning, and I come back there and talk to a number of your staff, and they tell me something different, I'm like, wait a second, Anna said this, Bob said that. Where's the disconnect, right? Basic things that you are going to be asked about. Is the product already in the market? Has it been in the market? How long has it been in the market? Where's it placed, right? Where it's here in the U.S. or abroad. How are sales, right? Not to give specifics, but give me a range. Is sales good or so-so? Returns. Buyers like me don't want to sell a boomerang, sell and have them come back. So how are returns, right? Reviews. We're in the age of online. Amazon, Best Buy, Target, all can review. How review? Are you a 4.5 or you're a 3.5? And then finally, last two things, availability, when stock available, if it's brand new, and two, pricing. Now, pricing is a little, I put a little asterisk because I tell our clients that don't give exact margins or cost because you don't know the rules of the game.
Yeah.
Is it in store? If it's in store, how many stores? Is it online? Is it in print? Is it on air? Each retailer has different margin structures. So I tell our clients, give a range. Don't go too far off the representation, but give a range where you're still in the hunt, but don't give exact cost because once you meet a buyer, say in 3 weeks or 3 months from now, and you say, oh, yeah, I wrote down, you said a cost of $50. Wait, but I mean, I got to pay for freight. I have to pay returns. There's marketing allowances. I can't afford $50. It's going to be $65. Now there's a disconnect. So give a range. That way, once you actually meet with a buyer in the future, you can actually recalculate your pricing.
Yeah, good points. And talking about like different types of retailers and even within retailers, like different platforms, right? So say you have a great meeting with Best Buy at CES and the person seems genuinely interested. They requested some samples, most likely after the show. What like realistically happens then after that meeting, right? Because I mean, many founders, they get excited. Oh, we met Best Buy. Yes. we're getting on the on shelf, but that's not exactly how it works, right? And often takes longer.
With bigger retailers like Best Buy, it takes a very long time. Remember, it's like being a captain of that Titanic, and that's probably a bad analogy, but it takes time to navigate. Where a smaller retailer has maybe 1 or 2 stores, the decision-making process is much quicker. Yeah. So for Best Buy, let's see me at Best Buy in January. The buyer seemed very interested. And now, right? Remember, the buyer's seen all other vendors or exhibitors while at the show. So don't be discouraged if you follow up where it's a day from then or a couple weeks and you're like, hey, buyer loved me back in January. Now it's late January. I still haven't seen a response from the buyer. It takes time. Buyers have a lot of things. Remember, they're gone for almost a week. Get back. Think about a pile of work they got to do, besides fun up on the more hot products they saw at CES. But let's say you and Best Buy, there's interest, you follow up with the buyer in late January, right? Obviously, they need to see a sample for QA purposes, right? Any retailer wants to see that, right? Then maybe pricing, understand your marketing plan, a lot of things. And then once the buyer shows interest, your job's not done. It's just begun. Now it's about vendor agreements, right? Where you're going directly to Best Buy or going through a distributor. That takes time, right? And then it does take time to get you built as a vendor once the agreements have been finalized. So realistically, it could take 6 months to 9 months post CES. You start seeing traction where retail like a Best Buy or a Target, by the way.
Yeah. And how soon after the show do you recommend brands to start the follow-up?
I recommend usually, I say at least a week, 1 or 2 weeks. Again, buyer's been out for a couple of days, and he or she's probably catching up. So don't do it like that same day. I know you're eager, but it'll be lost. So maybe a week to 2 weeks after. Any longer, like let's say 2 months after the show, you're forgotten. But 2 weeks is probably the right sweet spot. Gives the buyer the chance to catch up. And so looking at, hey, I saw some really cool products. Let me go through my notes and see who I should contact afterwards.
Yeah. And then, as I mentioned, like some of the brands, they would be just launching their product, right, at CES, which does not equal to being commercially ready. So oftentimes there are, like longer delays. How often would you recommend then to check in? Like, for example, on the previous event with Barry, when we were discussing press at CES, we were saying, hey, you want to build relationships and you don't want to just show up once a year and say, hey, my product's ready, let's write about it, right? You want to establish that trust. And from time to time, get in touch with media and remind them about yourself. Is it the same within the retail space?
Same as well. Yeah, keeping remember, buyer's a lot of stuff on his plate, right? So keeping top of mind. So obviously, if you don't have something like a retail bound that's with a buyer often, right? And you're doing it yourself. Obviously, if you get featured in CNET, speaking of press, right? Send a link to the buyer. Hey, I know it's been a few weeks. Maybe we just got featured in CNET, or if a well-known influencer does an unboxing review on YouTube or TikTok, right? Share that, right? Any awards we have won, like Time Magazine's top inventions for 2026, right? But anything you can do to keep the lead warm, right? Till you're ready to showcase. And again, for bigger retailers, if you're a startup, you really don't retail like Best Buy is probably not the right strategy. The better strategy right now, and if you're a startup and just starting out, is start small. Regional retailers, online retailers, because retail like Best Buy now, like me, we don't want to be a guinea pig for unknown, unproven brands, right? So if it was me as a startup, I would say, Best Buy's great. Let's keep the lead more. Let's keep talking, right? But we're gonna get a few more singles, using a baseball term. Maybe get some small retailers, get some KPI like sales, returns, and reviews. And then when I'm a little more seasoned, then hey, Best Buy, we met a year ago. Now we're in 5 or 6 regional retailers in the United States. Now we're better prepared both financially as well as other resources to work with a major retailer like a Best Buy in the future.
How important actually is it when it comes to big box retailers? How important is it to have that sales data? Do they ask for it?
Yes, as a merchant, we are data driven and we're some overload. So any data you can share, right? Where it's primary data that you're collecting, or secondary data like from MPD or Stevenson, it's going to show, hey, here's the market share in this category, right? Through Stevenson MPD, right? Here's our sales, year to date, month to date, right? Here's what we're doing to kind of grow the business, right? Those things excite the buyer. But at the end of the day, for most merchants, they want to make people that make the decision. There's some major retailers, I call it decision by committee. There's other people the buyer has to get a blessing from, whereas their boss or inventory or other product team. So the more data you can provide helps the buyer craft a story when even he or she's trying to sell it in to their senior management teams.
Yeah. How about the importance of reviews?
Very, very reviews are very important, more so than they were, maybe, when we first started out. If you're a 3.6 review on Amazon, very tough for a major retailer to take you on. I tell retail buyers, we have clients who are maybe not where it should be, maybe they're like a 3.9, a 4.1, right? I, as a buyer myself, because I use data, I kind of sort the reviews from most recent, right? Because again, maybe in the beginning, their product was kind of buggy. It was a smart ring, right? And the app was kind of glitchy, right? But now, over the last 6 months, apps got better, right? So I look at their more recent reviews than the review that was done maybe a year ago, where hey, it was horrible, right? So, but reviews are very important. But it's one metric the buyers use. Just because you're a 5.0 star rated on Amazon does not guarantee Best Buy is going to pick you up. There's other data points he or she will look at, like margin, like your marketing, like your product roam, things like that, before they say yay or nay for the assortment for next year.
Yeah, I have one brand right now that are at 3.7 stars, and I can tell you it's brutal.
It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah. And well, yeah, it's like one of the things I recommend the brands is don't even start with marketplaces where your reviews are public. Start with your website and see how the feedback's there, because I mean, you can do damage control on your own platforms, and once you see that, yeah, it's, you know, being received positively, then you can move in bigger steps. But yeah, with innovative products, better crawl than run sometimes, no?
Correct, 100%.
Yeah. Another one for you. So especially for startups, right? Budgets are tight, and often brands can say, hey, I can do it myself. I don't need an agency, a consultant, whatnot. Can they actually do it themselves? And most importantly, that was, well, sometime back, but a learning for me. Do actually retailers even, what do they prefer, you know, to work with reps, with distributors, or directly with the brand?
It depends on the retailer. As a buyer, you know, I didn't mind working with a rep, or with a consultant, working with a distributor, or working direct with it. It didn't mind for me. However, my senior management may have a different perspective. Obviously, the more people we have in the pot, it adds to the margin, adds to the cost, right? So I had one senior management say, you know, we don't want to deal with no reps. What? Yeah, that's additional 5%. It's in my cost of goods. So tell any client, any brand, we want no reps, right? However, if they don't have infrastructure in place, it actually costs us more, because they got to hire employees with salary and benefits, right? So, but I think for the most part, what buyers care about is who's going to take care of them, right? You know, I always tell a lot of young brands, the secret success in retail, right, is making the buyer's job easier. Okay, so if I have a direct relationship with you, you're the vendor, right? But you're so busy, you're running the company, you're fundraising, you're building the product line, and as a buyer, I have a question. And where's Anna? She's got back to me. What the heck, right? I'm not gonna be too happy with you, and I'm looking for another supplier who's going to take care of my business, right? So long you have the right process in place to manage my expectations as a vendor, I'm okay. If it's a rep, a consultant like Retail Bound, or Startup Dials, a distributor, or yourself, it doesn't really matter, as long as my needs, and as a buyer, I'm very needy, is taken care of, by the way.
Yeah. What about negotiation? It takes a certain experience, no?
Every product brand thinks they're Mark Cuban. You know, they think they're, you know, like, you're not Mark Cuban. Nor am I. I know my limitations, right? I think a lot of times when you're representing yourself, right? You take personally, you know, like, hey, your baby's ugly. What? My baby's ugly? I worked hard on this baby, right? It's good to have a neutral third party like yourself or Retail Bound that can streamline the negotiations, right, and kind of help level the playing field between the retailer and the vendor. But yeah, most of our clients prefer not to be in front of the camera. They want us to kind of like be the pretty face, negotiate the agreements, and then show the client, hey, here's the wins. Here's things we couldn't get done. That's okay. What are your thoughts? You're happy? Let's sign an agreement and move on, by the way.
Yeah, good point.
Giving your agreement to a lawyer and then running everything, I guarantee you no retailer is going to accept that. So you got to understand what things are negotiable and what things are not. And that's why having a expert like yourself or Retail Bound as your front person it will help you in both time, effort, and money down the road.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, you already have, experience and expectations, right? And you set those expectations sort of like for both parties.
Correct.
And help navigate the negotiations and, I don't know. I think having someone experienced is just, especially with retail, it just helps so much.
And what makes me a little different than most consultants out there is I've been on both sides, as well as my teammates of the desk. So I started my career, it says, over 30 years ago in electronics, selling computer accessories to Best Buy, CompUSA, Radio Shack, right? And I made a lot of mistakes because I didn't have a retail bound or startup DAOs in my corner, right? So I did
Mhm.
myself, was successful, but it cost me a lot of time, effort, money. Fast forward, I became a very large retail buyer. And I saw a lot of young brands, meaning who I consult with today, struggle because they didn't know how to
Mhm.
sell to me, let alone work with me, right? And that's why you see a lot of brands say, here today and gone tomorrow, because they don't know how to, like you said earlier, maintain that relationship the right way with a retailer, is a small one or a large one like a Best Buy.
Yeah. And well, maybe last one for today, right? Because I mean, we're talking a lot about the like those smaller players. Many of them they can't actually afford having a booth at CES, right? I mean, some start at Eureka Park, right? That's obviously more affordable. But I want to say less buyers go to Eureka Park, and I mean, it's just so much crowded there. Um, well, yes. Let's say it's your first year at CES, right?
Yeah.
And you still want to attend, and you want to potentially meet retailers, although you're not sure whether you're retail ready yet. Is it possible to get those meetings with retailers without having a booth? Like, how do you work to show
It
different?
depends. Depends how much you want to work, right? So yes, you can meet with retailers, the offsite or maybe at the on the trade show floor without having a booth. But there's a couple of things that be in your favor. One, you would have to get a buyer to meet with you first, right? That means find through your own direct connections or through a resource like Startup Dallas or Retail Bound, right? Two, you got to find a location where to meet, right? Typically, you want to try to keep it on the show floor because if you say, well, I have a suite at the Holiday Inn down the street, very tough logistically to get bars off the show, right? So if you are on the area, a trick I always tell our clients, if you can't get a booth for various reasons, if you're a member of CTA, you're allowed to book a space at the CTA lounge,
Mhm.
right? That way you're able to, have a meeting for 30 minutes. It's kind of it's much quieter to be on the sales floor, but it's still located on the trade show premises. So you're not like going like a mile down the street and then getting back to where he or she should be. So it's possible, but it's not as easy as having a booth on the show floor itself.
Hmm. Johan, if it was your first CES and with
Yeah.
all your years of experience on the floor, what's your advice? Something you wish you knew before your first one?
Pace myself. Like you, I've been doing this for a long time, and usually by day 3, day 4, I'm exhausted. I can't talk. You and I
Yeah.
are both very enthusiastic. We talk very fast, especially myself. So you have to be able to pace yourself, take frequent breaks. That's why I have enough people in the booth we said
Mhm.
earlier helps. But pace yourself. If you think it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, right? So if
Mhm.
I told myself, younger self, 25, 30 years ago, take it all in, take your time, it'll all be fine at the end.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, this has been so valuable, and obviously, I hope founders, brands, now have a better understanding and expectations about CES and what's happening after the show is over, right? Because this is really where it starts. So you can tell us, where can they find you? How can they work with Retail Bound?
Sure. So
Your part.
Redebound are been around for about 18 years. Our website is retailbound.com. We're probably the largest retail solution agency in North America. Besides our consultants like myself, we're a former large buyers, who've also been manufacturers. We have over 200 sales reps. We have 40 distributors, and today we're over 150 major retailers in the U.S. and Canada. So love to hear from you if you're interested in meeting up with CES, and hopefully we can work together in the future.
Well, thank you so much for joining. And of course, if you guys who joined, if you found it valuable, please connect with us on LinkedIn. Anna Kamenko, Johan Retail Bound. And we have more sessions coming up. So follow us for more and catch you on the next one. See you.